Okay. The date is August 14th, 2025. It is 6:07 p.m. We will call to order the meeting of the City of Binghamton Human Rights Commission, and we will start with roll. Dr. Yall?
Here.
Hussein Adams here.
All right, and I am John Brunza, current chair. We will turn to the minutes from last month's meeting, which was on July 31st. If we all had an opportunity to take a look at those.
Yes.
Other than typos, were any substantive changes that anyone like to address?
Okay.
Okay. That being said, do we have a motion to approve these minutes pending the typo correction? Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Passed unanimously. Okay. The minutes are adopted. Turning to public comment, I don't see anyone here or joining us via Zoom. We will move forward. We'll skip right to organization structure. As you know, last meeting we adopted some bylaws kind of pending the approval or input from Corporation Counsel. I have received some feedback on those. Do you guys have copies of that? Yes. Okay. So from Corporation Counsel, that they're suggesting that we add a line about the use of Robert's Rules of Order. Any discussion on that?
I think it makes sense to have it be just a point of clarity that that's what dictates how your process of a meeting.
Yeah.
It's
So
what everybody else uses.
Right.
do we have like a little, like I know like general how it works? Or just more details that we should be aware of?
I mean, I think that it gets pretty deep. I think that we already use it.
Yeah.
In a simple form.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding that parliamentary procedure can get very, very deep. And if you have any clarifications we need on anything, I'm open to it. But I
don't. I said my really
yeah.
My basic knowledge.
It's gotten us this far. Hussein, any?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think we've been, as far as procedure, we've been following exactly as it states.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I will mark that down as positive change. Next one is suggest adding a provision to the ethics section regarding the handling of sensitive and protected information, and commission members refraining from expressing any opinions, stances, positions on any issues or complaints before the commission. Let's take that in two parts if we can. The ethics section of the bylaws. We are silent on handling of sensitive and protected information. I think that probably would be a good addition. Now, I will add that the Corporation Council offered to show us what these proposed changes would look like in writing. They asked for a Word copy of the bylaws, and then they would make the suggested changes, but we didn't get those in time for the next meeting. But I wanted to discuss them regardless. So I think that I would be open to something along the lines of a clause in there that we're going to act responsibly with the sensitive information that we're entrusted with.
Yeah, and I think we discussed that last meeting.
Yeah.
Going into the aspects of confidentiality and
Mhm.
you know, the sensitivity with each and every case, and each case being, you know, taken with those precautionary measures and steps and thinking.
Mhm.
So I would welcome from the council that proposal for the bylaws, if they're saying that they would put it in writing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see
I
what
like to see
they might.
what they put in.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, part B of that, commission members refraining from expressing any opinions, stances, positions on any issues or complaints before the commission. You know, this, I don't know how this might intersect with our other proposed change or addition to the bylaws. Because we do want, we are weighing the addition of proactive or unsolicited advocacy. But this says on any issues or complaints that are before the commission. I think I would want more clarity.
Yeah, I think it's broad.
Yeah.
I mean, we're expressing our positions or stances based on, it's not necessarily an opinion.
Right.
You know, it's based, it has some kind of basis. You know, if I'm speaking in regards to a particular subject, I'm gonna try to reference that.
Mhm.
You know, reference the authority.
Right.
To some degree.
If they're tying it into specific complaints, and that we're not going public about as individuals saying this has merit, or that, I would be more in favor of including protections along those lines to make sure that no one's going rogue on a specific and particular complaint that's before us. But I would not want the language to prevent our advocacy in other ways.
Yeah, and I think also too, like, we're all professionals.
Yeah.
We don't, but you know, it's good to state it. It's good to state that you know, if a member of the commission goes off on a tangent regarding personal feelings for a particular thing, because it has affected them personally in their life based on race, religion, or whatever it may be, you know, that's of course is understandable. That's why I said, you know, based on some type of authoritative, you know, let's start with the law. What does the law say about a particular thing? You know, what are the elements within that particular law? You understand? Are these elements fulfilled? You know, if we're talking about discrimination or whatever it may be. So, yeah, I would just like a little more.
I don't understand what you're talking about. It seems just very vague to me, and it feels very kind of a little bit controlled. So the way that the language is right now, I can agree with that. Because I can't imagine if we get a complaint that we can't discuss based on our experience, whether or not what we should do.
Right.
You know, like, how do we have a discussion to help someone?
Yeah, I guess.
But I do believe that the discussion should be protected information, right? Which is the first thing. We shouldn't go outside because if we're having complaints or things like that, they're off record anyway.
Mhm.
So if they're off record, they shouldn't leave this room.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. And you know, I think that kind of by way of the advocacy that we'll discuss soon, you know, I think the intention is that we speak as a group if we do choose to comment on something. Yeah, and not to mention the first line of the ethics bylaw is the commission members shall conduct themselves in accordance with the highest ethical standards.
Right.
That's pretty all encompassing for me. I would hate to be in a position where we have to analyze that and hold somebody to that.
I would just ask for clarity with what exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of others. That's why I say what I say one time. I definitely agree with Dr. Gill. These are matters that need to be expressed, but from my perspective, I try to refrain or stay away from giving, even if it's looked at as an opinion. I want to give some type of more substance where it's not looked at in a biased way. Well, you just have that opinion because of whatever.
Right.
No, actually, it goes deeper than that.
Yeah. I tend to agree that I try to step with caution, and because I do take a stance. I wouldn't want to alienate others as well. So let's seek more clarity. Point number 3, if the commission intends to allow public comment, adding in that public comment is allowed, and adding rules regarding that public comment, similar to the city council. I didn't pull.
What are the city council rules on public comment?
There's a number of them that I can't recite, but it's just I think there's parts about being respectful, don't use curse language, you can't do any electioneering during a public comment. There's other it's you're there to address the body and not make personal attacks. There's a few of those things just to try to that may or may not be enforced, but there's the option to as guidelines. So I we could look those up quick.
I mean, I think that I would find at least some of those to be worthy additions.
So it would be helpful if we just saw what the rules are, and we can decide which of these rules make sense for us. Some of them are all of them.
Yeah.
So I think that's our next thing. We need to see what the rules are.
Yeah, I mean, I would be in favor of maintaining civil discourse. Any other comments on that? If the commission tends to have any standing committees or the ability to create committees spelling out those procedures for forming and operating said committees would be advisable. I can imagine that, especially once we fill our roles, we would want committees to divide up the work and to help things along.
Yeah.
I would be open to putting those procedures into writing.
I think it's so we get hopefully a little bit busier.
Yeah.
Definitely needed.
got the guidelines for public comment if you want to hear them.
Yeah,
For the city council. All right, members of the public of city council and the attendance at meetings, public comment is permitted at all city council business meetings in which there is pending legislation to be voted upon. Public comment is not permitted at a business meeting where there's no legislation to be voted on, or at a work session or committee meetings. Public comment is subject to the following rules. Speakers must provide their name and organization that they're representing, if any, and the state they live in the city, or work in the city, or if they live and work in the city, or do not live or work in the city. Speakers may include a home or work address at the speaker's discretion. Speakers will appear in person unless the meeting is suspended by New York State. And they can submit public comment. Speakers have up to 5 minutes to address the council regarding pending legislation and issues in the city. Public comment is not a question and answer period. It is an opportunity to address the city council. Members of city council should not interrupt speakers. Speakers will conduct themselves in a professional and respectful manner and not defame, intimidate, or make personal affronts, make threats of violence or use of profanity. Speakers will address their remarks to city council, not the other members of the public nor city staff. Speakers and attendees will not interfere with, touch, manipulate, or disturb city equipment, including microphones and audio visual equipment. Speakers and attendees are not permitted to advance beyond the table designated. Attendees will not be delayed or otherwise interrupt speakers, nor will they disrupt orderly conduct of the meeting. In this regard, the public will not shout, engage in unruly behavior, or speaking out when they are not recognized by the presiding officer. No electioneering or campaigning is permitted in city council meetings by speakers, attendees, and other members of city council. All members of city council are expected to preserve order and decorum of city council meetings. They will conduct themselves with decorum and advise members of the public to do the same. These rules will be posted at the city council chambers and on the city's website. So that's
probably more comprehensive than
right.
we would need.
Right.
But the few that come to mind for me would be, do we want people to identify themselves? Relationship with their city, maybe be up to 5 minutes, not question and answer, and conduct themselves in a respectful manner, no threats or profanity.
Etiquette.
Were there others there that stood out to you that we should consider?
I think the up to 5 minutes is good if we have like a number of people. So I was just thinking like the only public comment we had was the one person that came and spoke for a while. I wouldn't want to limit them to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that these.
So we can decide whether we're in real time, whether or not we're going to make the limitations, and these are just kind of guidelines.
I think, having them permits us to enforce them when necessary.
Subject to change. When necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of the word, but something along those lines.
But
If we do, I agree with that. If we do have one speaker, if they come in, or if they, if they need 10 minutes, they give them 10 minutes.
Sure.
8
sure.
minutes or whatever. Requested.
But the option to limit the time when necessary should be available to us.
Yeah. Or maybe we can just ask them.
Yeah.
If they needed more time. If it's one person,
Right.
and we know we have time to hear them.
Right.
We can ask them, do you need more than 5 minutes, or how much time do you need? What do you need for your presentation?
Yeah, I think that would be fair. Any other thoughts?
So you're going to work on those procedures and.
Yeah, so I will work with Corporation Counsel solidify these. I'll kind of see what what they might be offering initially. I think it's in the works, but maybe I can catch them if they haven't started yet and give their thought, give them our thoughts on these, and particularly with 2B C or 2B and section 3.
You're gonna come with a standing committee procedure.
Yeah. I think that would be appropriate. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that it has to be elaborate, but the language. Okay. Moving on to proposed addition to the bylaws for proactive or unsolicited advocacy. I tend to like the proposal. And I've got a couple of questions that we might want to discuss through our process. And I think that, we could probably kind of digest this for next month so that we don't have more time to think about it. But let's
so I do want to just say, and I put that in the email, that I thought that our bylaws, this would really only have us kind of responding to complaints at this point, right? And my thought around a human rights commission is that it exists in more than that spirit, right? Not just to respond to complaints, but actually to protect and promote human rights in general in our communities, right? And that when you look at the human rights law locally in Binghamton and in the Human Rights Commission Ordinance 45A, it says that we have the power to go beyond just investigating, which include educating the public on issues, that recommending policy changes. That we can make recommendations to the people in power around policy changes. We can advocate for systemic, equity, right? I mean, I thought about this because of the social climate that we're in, and stuff is just happening, and we should be able to respond to it in a number of ways. One, to educate the public on what the issue is, so that they're aware, right? But also that we should be able to take a stance on whether we believe that policies are being enacted that are promoting human rights are also working against that. And I think that is part of the work that we should be doing. The folks that are in power should feel like we're not adversarial. However, we are holding their feet to the fire.
we have a voice.
We have a voice, yeah.
I think that's crucial, especially the education aspect. We witnessed that with, after all, I know your rights presentations, dealing with, different immigration statuses in the country. And I mean, it helps empower people to know, okay, look, you actually have rights as a permanent resident in this country. You have rights to legally reside here, to work here, to be a contributing member of society, so on and so forth. If you're confronted, about your immigration status, I'm just using immigration because that's my field, you actually don't have to state to an agent what your status, or even discuss what your status is. Many people didn't know that,
So people, right?
So
It's
similar,
the point, right?
Similarly, somebody can be discriminated against in another round, any other round capacity.
So many human rights violations, right? People don't are not aware because they're systemic, right? They're not individual, necessarily individual acts.
Mhm.
They're systemic things. And they go and report because people are afraid. Or they don't know that they can. They don't know that they
They're
have any
ignorant
rights,
as well.
you know.
Not informed.
They
I'll say.
distrust, you know, the people that are in power. So we cannot act as if we have to wait for a complaint when we know there are people who are not gonna be able to bring a complaint to us because of this, the society we live in. Okay?
So maybe we could tap into like some of the struggles that we think locally. You
I
know,
do think that we
and,
should be tapping
you
into
know,
some of these
tap
struggles.
into those and then start giving some kind of presentations, you know, educational forum, workshop, whatever it may be.
Well, that's what this whole idea of this listening campaign was, but I think we have to go faster,
Mhm.
you know, because we know there's some things that are happening relatively fast. Look, I'm in Talbot County, right? So I live not far from Owego. We know what happened in Owego recently. You know, I can see that happening here. You know, it's just a matter of time. And so, do we wait? You know, or do we just just people knowing what their rights are they knowing what human rights, what their rights are? I think, you know, or the housing thing.
Mm.
You know, or, you know, issues around homelessness and the fact that we don't have enough cooling centers. It was hot as hell today at the point.
Yeah.
And we don't have cooling centers. You know, people have a right to be able to exist in this space and not die because of weather conditions that they have no control over, you know. But those are policies that people have to get to push and say, like, no, we don't have. But in order for us to be able to say we don't have, that means we have to do the work to find out what do we have.
Right.
Like, what are the things that are missing, right? We know that housing is an issue, right? There's a whole big thing going on in Saratoga right now that we should be intimately aware of what the rules are because they're messed up. And we need to be able to kind of, you know, speak to, like, this is not good. This is messed up. People are being harmed. So in order to be able to be proactive, that means we have to do some work, right? In order to be an advocate for the community, it means we have to be inform ourselves, right? So I don't take this addition lightly. I know this comes with work, but I think it's work that's really going to be a bulk of what we do, you know, because once we are out there, then the complaints will start coming.
Sure.
Because people will see us as an avenue, as someone that will listen to them. You know, keeping in mind that we don't have any power to do anything. We might be able to kind of guide them to where they can. And if we see enough complaints in a certain area, then we can make a statement to the policymakers and say, you know, this.
Yeah. And do you envision us using our voice for local issues, state issues, or larger?
Well, I think we're the Human Rights Commission in Binghamton. I think our city issues are probably
right.
We have to kind of you know, keep to the area that we are. I don't know if we can really make a statement in the county, although I feel like we should be able to say because we're a city that is in this county.
Yeah.
There's some county things that are kind of disturbing. But I think for the city issue, we need to, there's a lot of stuff going in the city.
I like it. I like the idea of using our voice. I like the idea of using it in a calculated way too, like you outlined here. You know, one of the things that you so the conditions. Okay, oh, I do see that matters occur within the city's jurisdiction or substantially affect city residents. The other, and then in 3C, credible evidence exists of a pattern, systematic concern, or imminent harm. What do you envision our definition of credible evidence? We might want to consider defining that or talking about it. You know, if we hear something from multiple independent sources, publicly available reports, we get members of the community come in, I think that would all be credible evidence.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do we need to find out more?
I think credible evidence will look different depending on the situation, right? Like think about the work Hussein does and the sensitivity around people's ability to kind of out themselves right now. People are not willing to like put their stuff on the table. But we know that there may be problems, so I think that, community voice can act as a credible evidence.
Yeah.
We know that they're removing the benches from around the city, recently heard, so that homeless people will sit there. So I don't know, that feels problematic, but it's a systemic concern around how homeless people are criminalized and treated. The question is, do we have a plan for them? So I don't know that we need. I hear what you're saying. I don't know how we would quantify that. That's what you're asking me. How do you quantify what credible evidence is?
And then maybe it's up for discussion each and every time.
I think
it's
it might
something
be.
we're voting for.
Yeah.
I think it might be.
Yeah. I can also envision us discussing and voting on tiered responses. What's our plan for this? Is it just a letter fact sheet, or putting out social media stuff on it, or going more, or press release or press conference, or we can choose as a group to take measured responses depending on the issues as we see them.
I think we can also take advantage of having an attorney on the commission and his background. I'm not an attorney, but I have legal background, because that's, when you look at the elements of, for example, if you're looking for evidence or credible evidence, depending on what the situation is, legally, just throwing one example out there, if there's something called selective persecution or discrimination, where it's selective, you understand? And some of the legal elements include, let's say it's housing, this landlord violated my rights, wouldn't rent for me, because of such and such. If something like that goes to court, I'm just throwing this out there, if something like that goes to court, they do look at who the subsequent tenants are. Who did you rent to, and what was that based on? You understand? Because you're able to prove a form of discrimination. Let's say someone was saying, I was racially discriminated against. I have income, I have a job, I have all the things that this tenant that you placed in here has, but you just discriminated against me because of my race or my religion, whatever it may be. So I think when I'm saying that to say that amongst our small group, we do have good insight that can help nail hammers and stuff like that down. I don't know if we need to include it in here, but
because it's not a legal document. We're not talking about legal
yeah
issues here. We're just talking about evidence enough for us to want to respond, and what that would look like.
Yeah, well, and I understand that. What I'm saying is that
but
there'll always be the naysayers or those who, if you have some kind of legal substance, and it doesn't have to be a legal response or legal jargon, but we know from within our discussion what our basis is. Everyone's gonna have something different to offer and propose. It just makes it stronger. It makes it more for me.
But I think at the end of the day, we always have to go back to I think is our core mission, which is protecting human rights.
Mhm.
You know, like our response should be, you know, bolstered with the ideals, like, you know, wherever we're saying it because it's we feel these advance the idea of protecting human rights.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that this is
But yeah, I mean,
phenomenal addition to our scope.
Yeah, I like it. I love it.
Yeah,
You know, it's the screening, the evidence gathering, liberation and vote, you know, permissible actions, all of these things are, you know, conditions for initiating unsolicited advocacy.
we had talked about way in the beginning, you know, like we would speak as one voice, and like John would be our spokesperson, right? So we would kind of always come together as one voice, you know, as a community, and then we'd have a person that would put forward.
I think that even could be spelled out in here, that language to that fact that we speak with one voice. You know, whoever the spokesperson is, whether it's me or the next person, they speak for the group, and it's not any individuals. Yeah. I think that might be a worthy addition. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this? I'm like I said at the beginning, I'm inclined to wait to vote on this, maybe until next meeting, or you know, get a little bit more eyes and ears on it. I certainly think we're heading in the right direction. You guys agree?
Okay.
Okay. Anything further on that before we move on?
But I'll add that speak as one voice into here.
Okay, perfect. Next, we're moving on to complaint form.
Is this taken from a previous?
Yeah.
We have, Let's start with that.
This was our 5th iteration.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I do see that our
Email.
we have access to that email.
Right.
Anything more.
So
So
we
we
have
may
to
want to
change
update
that,
that. Yeah.
What are some of the emails? I think we.
HRC at cityofbinghamton.org.
Yeah, I think that we created our own email system. Like we didn't really go through the city last time.
Yeah, I'm saying that's what the email is that we have, and that's going to go to each member, right?
Yeah. So it the way that it's set up now is that it goes to the clerk's office. It's my understanding. You know, that I go to the city person for distribution to us.
Okay.
I still I struggle with that still, because it means that people are not coming directly to us, they're going to a third party, and depending on what's on the complaint form, people could have feelings about that.
Yeah.
You know, and how do we control that?
Certainly. I mean,
Is there a reason why it goes through the clerk's office? It's coming.
I think that's a discussion that we had arrived at previously. That was that it wasn't like appropriate to go to like a third party like email service if it's like if this body is like representative of the city of Binghamton and also for like security purposes, that it would like be in that server. I think that's like what I'm remembering is what that conversation was earlier
That's
this
cool.
year.
I don't mind. I'm wondering why can't our our contact email addresses be attached to that so that we, as these complaints come in.
Like a filter? Set up a filter so that it's automatically
Yeah, it
forwarded.
automatically forwarded to, whoever the commission.
Like we all had, Binghamton HRC emails. We all individually had our own emails being HRC.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, complaints and stuff like that, like. So now it goes to the city, which is horrible. Right?
Yeah, I think, again, we talked about this in the last thing, there's like a lot of, even if you foil something, there can be redactions or it can be, can't think of the legal term, but it can be like dismissed if it's like confidential information that's not appropriate to be disseminated. That happens to me all the time.
So-
Yeah, I think this would be, heavily redacted. If anyone were to try to
Yeah.
request a copy.
There could be like a foil that's just like how many complaints did come in, like in 2025.
Yeah.
And that there's some things that like you couldn't like deny necessarily, but there's also others that it's like you're not gonna, if it's like a sensitive legal situation, it can be kept locked up, I guess.
So at this point, it's got to go to the clerk, and the clerk submits it to us.
Are you aware of the the other materials that the clerk's office handles? And I'm sure that they handle sensitive material and act ethically and responsibly with it.
Yeah, and I mean they're like legally obligated to, and they do like their own confidentiality trainings for handling documents, and I know they get, I think what I hear is that they get a lot of foils related to like code violations that like that office handles, but then there's like if it's anything that has to do like the police department, it gets sent and they have their own foil officer that handles documentation that department. So and they have their own protocols for
I'll add, I think the clerk's office at this point has been instrumental in helping us along administratively.
No, I don't doubt that they're competent and they're nice and they've done right by us and all that kind of stuff. But if I'm talking to someone in the street and I'm like, okay, just go ahead and fill out this form and stuff like that, and go to the clerk's office and she'll get it to us. I don't know how it's going to play. So there's no way that the clerk can give us an email that we can actually grab stuff out of? Or maybe I might be overthinking this.
No, I see what your point is. Just thinking. So previously, that's what you all had. Each member had a separate email address.
Yeah, I think it was set up by the initial president.
And
I don't know how.
where were the complaints received?
They were received through this general.
Well, so all the complaints went to the general email address, and then each member had a different separate.
So that when we were responding or we were doing work, it stayed in that HRC workspace.
Now, I think that would have been connected to BinghamtonHRC.org website, probably, right? That if the email domain was that, there was an independent website that was set up too.
I can go back and look at that.
What type of emails did individuals receive?
So once we were out there, people would actually send individuals complaints, right? Or they would send us emails saying like, I got a problem, then we could refer them back to the process. Or sometimes you would say, you know, like, how come you're not talking about this? Did you know that this is happening?
And you're saying also too that a lot of people, you know, they'll go to who they're most comfortable with or who they know.
They did, but we always referred them back to the
Yeah, I
general
understand
one,
that.
you know.
Yeah, I understand.
But you know, but I think once we're like visible, people see who we are. Because right now we're like invisible. And people will kind of go to.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly I understand the concern. Yeah, I don't know that I share the worry about that filter or that relay to us, but I get where you're coming from. I don't know that that's going to be something we'll solve tonight.
Yeah. I mean, in the meantime, we're just going to use the city email.
Yeah, I think.
Which is
HRC at cityofbinghamton.org.gov.
Phone number. Is that a city phone number or?
the phone number should be the clerk's office.
I guess so.
I don't think that's a clerk's office number. We probably should have it to the clerk's office right now.
And does anybody know what that number is? Okay, I can look it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
607 772 7005.
I don't think that this is connected to the city, the 398-20559.
I Googled it, it didn't come.
Yeah, it's not connected to the city.
I think that otherwise. But I don't know. I mean, this is probably something else that we would likely want to run by Corporation Council. You agree that being appropriate, Nate, or is that unnecessary?
Yeah, I think it's fine to get feedback. I think there isn't a checkbox for unhoused status, which is now part of.
Yeah, so I'm saying we might want to change some of these complaint information because things are different.
Yeah.
Unhoused status.
That might also update for complaints related to housing. So
that was really, landlord stuff, right? So not really dealing with unhoused community.
Yeah, I agree that it probably wouldn't, or maybe just that box or something along the lines of on the housing sheet, because the cover sheet, you know, somebody checking housing, if they're unhoused, they're directed to complete the complaints related to housing. Yeah, maybe we could have a little bit more clarity on the housing page to accept unhoused status as well. Do we agree that that's the most appropriate place for that?
No, it should be on the complaint related to housing. I'm just trying to think how fit it in, because the way it is right now, it's around renters
Yeah,
or people trying to buy or sell houses.
I mean, even if it's, you know, if this is, you know, kind of separated a little bit here, if this is related to housing, or if this is related to a landlord, you know, just fill out this part. Otherwise, move on to what is the basis of your complaint. Meaning, you know, only this top portion, complete the top portion if applicable. Might be a potential resolution to that. What else?
It was basically, so what we want to add is what's the basis of your complaint to address unhoused status? Because I could see the basis of the place, like there's no warning stations, and no place to go.
Yeah.
You know?
We have another category.
Other
Yeah.
category, yeah.
Yeah, there's kind of so many different variables.
I think it's, I mean, if it's not here, they can fill it in.
Yeah, and you know, it doesn't have to be the end all be all either. You know, we do an intake interview to flesh it out a little bit more. Just on a formatting note, the title for the signature page, I think, needs to go down. It got bumped up onto the,
Oh, okay.
onto the bottom down. Yeah. Uh, we perhaps want to amend the statement above the signature line.
Mhm.
Because they have been advised.
Yeah, at this point, they probably haven't been advised
They haven't been.
of much of anything.
Yeah.
Also,
But do state that they understand that this intake form.
Yeah.
Is for information purposes only, and that they're requesting the Human Rights Commission to take necessary and appropriate action.
and I would take out in their investigation. Just so that it's clear that we're not an investigative body. I hereby give my authorization to release information contained in this form to any persons necessary. Do we think that's broad, or is that?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that is. I think we're good. Anything else on the form?
It's a name that's gotta come off on the bottom. That's.
Yeah. There's, yeah. Pending. Pending a letter.
Yeah.
Move ahead since we are running short on time here. We talked about the complaint form, intake officer schedule, and perhaps we would want to have somebody designated as the intake officer for this month to get started with that, just in case something comes in. Anyone,
I can go first whenever we get started on it.
Okay.
So that would just mean that the clerk would then just send anything that we get to you.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely share and discuss.
Mhm.
Discussed last week. I think the more input, the better.
And no, I mean, it's just a place
procedure.
where to start,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, okay. So you'll volunteer to be our first. Do we want to move forward with September too? I can take September.
We're halfway through August.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are we going to meeting to meeting or by month?
Or by complaint.
Or by
Because, I mean, say we don't have a complaint that comes in for the entire month, and then we're switching to. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just saying.
how do we want to do that?
I don't know, I guess,
What would be the cleanest and most organized way?
I think we've had one
Yeah.
contact so far, and what you did was you brought it to the group and we talked about what should happen.
Mhm.
And then, and from there. This feels like we're overthinking this, because we don't have
Okay.
anything going on.
Fair enough.
I
We
said
can
everyone's
table
saying,
this, yeah.
And that's why I said whenever we get,
Yeah.
I'm willing
Yeah,
to go out.
okay, fair enough.
Whenever we get ready.
So we just need to let the clerk know that if we get anything that seems to be the contact.
Yeah.
To forward it to.
Yeah.
And she has our email, so.
Mhm.
Okay. Rolodex, I do have that in the works. I haven't made significant progress, but I do have a Google sheet started that I will share permissions with all of you. And we can all kind of add things. Open appointments, we still have, Aaron has three yet to give. Hopefully he'll make appointments there. I'd like to address probably the last thing that we have is the internship opportunity. Okay, do you want to touch on this?
Yes, I did created a draft of a proposal. Binghamton Human Rights Commission is looking for dedicated interns to help us promote mutual respect, combat discrimination, foster goodwill throughout the Binghamton community. This is a unique chance to gain hands-on experience in the fields of public service, human rights advocacy, and community outreach. And then, briefly states what the commission is seeking, educating the public, on human rights protections. Took this from the bylaws, this section. And then some internship responsibilities. These are some of the things we discussed last meeting. Social media and communications, creating and helping manage our social media presence, educating the public, fundraising, possibly research. I just threw it all in there. Case management. Of course, this will be assisting the commission. This is in no way doing anything on their own. The intern, helping what I'm thinking and organizing, helping with structure.
That's are you talking about the case management piece?
Mm-hmm. We can probably take out, I took out some things that I had in here where it was referring them to the New York State Division of Human Rights. It's just more information, more than a job duty, responsibility. So it definitely could be edited. But it's a draft.
The two specific, like mentioned that it's Human Rights Commission is dictated by the city charter, chapter 45, 45A, just like so there's more reference around like they want it like context.
Can I add that in?
We should also put in here, were we able to look into whether or not we can have unpaid interns?
Got the ball on that one. Help me.
Yeah, I mean, we should be clear about that it's not a paid position. It's not a paid position. And also under qualifications, I mean, I think this is good. Would we might also want to include something about social media or public outreach, something like that. I think that I would want to look for someone strong in that area. Somebody who is going to operate tactfully and also effectively in those forums.
Yeah, so we have here seeking proactive, detail-oriented individual, strong commitment to human rights, communication skills, organization ability, work, background in social sciences, law, justice. Nowadays, all these kids are social media experts.
Yeah, certainly more than me.
But we could throw something in there, social media. Because we stated in the some of the responsibilities, social media communication, help create and manage the commission social media presence, to educate the public, share.
Yeah.
You have to have skills to develop engaging content.
Perhaps that's spelled out.
Yeah. Reflects our purpose.
I would just add the background in social sciences is good, law, public administration, of human rights. Are you from public administration? Is that your degree?
No.
Okay. Or does
Public justice. Public justice.
Yeah. Yeah, human rights is an actual degree, so they have a background in that. Can I go back to the case management and complaints? This is that these kids shouldn't be doing intake right now. Yeah,
I tend to agree that we would probably keep that among commission members
Yeah.
as much as possible until a volume changes that by necessity.
Mhm.
We could take the whole section. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking volume.
Yeah.
We're all thinking big,
You know,
right?
yeah,
We wanna prepare for anything.
Because that's what I do. We were so swamped today, man. I can't even.
No, I mean, I think that all of the other things should keep someone plenty busy.
Mhm.
Give a good experience.
Take that section out for now.
Now, with these changes, are we prepared to vote on this to move forward, subject to approval that we can have an unpaid intern?
Are we prepared to vote on it?
Yeah.
Why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
And why are we not voting on the other thing?
He was saying to give it one more meeting to
It's,
get it.
I think it's much more in depth and there's more
Okay.
nuance to
Okay.
that. If anyone disagrees.
I think it's like 99% ready to go, to be honest with you. But just, I think, Dr. You've been taking good notes and scribbling all through your edits and actions or whatever you need to make to it.
I don't want to diminish our internship opportunity, but I weigh this to be very, very heavy, critical to our mission, and I want to get it right. The proactive or unsolicited advocacy.
Mhm.
That was my thinking on getting more feedback on that before we vote on that.
So we're getting more feedback from the numbers, or we're getting more feedback because I'm gonna clean it up, or you're gonna send it to council, what are we getting more feedback?
I think we should probably have corporation counsel look at it, and and maybe even our other member or members before the next meeting.
So maybe she can do the cleaning up,
Yeah.
send it out again.
Yeah.
And then you can send it to council.
I think
That way it's
be
not
ready to vote
just
on.
stuck.
Yeah. This is, having received it yesterday, and I want to give it the seriousness that it deserves.
Dr. Yu is ready to go. Let's vote. We got a quorum.
Like, look, I was to make sure that we're gonna be about it, that's all. So we can go on this, we're gonna take a vote on the internship thing. When do we find out whether or not we can get an unpaid internship?
I just sent an email to council. Right now, I don't think there are any interns within the city. And I don't know if so the departments don't have interns, but I also don't know if any other commission or board has interns either. So I don't know. I don't think it's common practice, but I don't know if there's anything that necessarily prohibits it.
Okay.
So that's what I.
So we should wait until we get a response from court.
Rather wait.
I mean, I'm for it.
Yeah.
I'm
Does, you know, would the second week in September put us behind the ball in getting an intern in the fall because of the way the school schedules are? Is also my thinking of, in terms of pushing this forward and being, you know, if we get approval from core council,
I say we vote on it, and if approval is granted,
we can move on.
we can move on, because fall semester is now.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to approve the internship opportunity language. Okay, second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. I think we don't have any reason to go into executive session. Any other business that anyone wants to take care of? Or do we have a motion to adjourn?
So what's the next meeting?
So we're sticking with second Thursday, September would be the 11th. So, at 6 p.m.
Till September 11th.
Mhm.
And a panel discussion on September 11th.
When are you doing that?
I'll wait till we get off the record.
Okay.
This time.
We should float different, the 18th.
Yeah, that's better for me.
Okay, 18th is fine.
Should we do the 18th? Okay. Okay. 18, 6 o'clock p.m. I'll send out an email about that just because it, you know, it's not falling within our second Thursday. I want to give everyone the appropriate notice. Okay. Yep. Right. We have a motion to adjourn.
You guys have to make a motion.
Motion to adjourn. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No one. Thank you.